I'm hitting record.
Good. I'm glad you're hitting record, and you can sound like a normal fucking human being, Odie.
I'm so glad that I fixed my audio with no help from anybody.
I'm so glad you did too. You're such an independent woman. You don't.
I am
need
an
no
independent
man.
woman, and you don't you forget it.
Pictured in the background, no man is just me, like screaming
your
at the
head.
sky, like no.
You're the screaming cowboy in the
Just
sky.
yelling. Oh my fucking god.
Can I tell you something that happened to me this week?
Yeah. I was gonna say no.
Yeah, can I?
No, you
I'm
can't.
grounded.
Yeah, no. Go ahead, hit me.
So I moved into my new apartment.
You did?
And I've been a week ago as of recording. So for 7 days straight, it's either been moving or working, and it's been a nightmare. And I want to tell you about this experience. I want to highlight the highs and lows, mostly lows.
Odie's moving. Welcome back to UnPop Cribs. We're talking with Odie Matthews, who just moved into their new crib. Odie, how's the crib treating you? What was it like?
It's great. Xzibit's here. He pimped my
Yo,
crib.
dog, we heard you like cribs, so we put a crib in your crib. We don't even care if you're having kids. We don't even care.
It's for your dog, man.
Oh, Max should have a crib. All right, we're already off track. Tell me about it.
Okay, so Saturday, I got really lucky, and this was the high. A lot of the guys that I work with brought their work vans and work trucks to help us move.
Hell yeah.
A couple things got broken.
Hell
not
no.
like the movers' fault, just like we had a couple fragile antiques that we had thrifted, and they got messed up. A couple things got scratched because we didn't properly we were kind of rushing to get stuff ready because
You forgot the old sheet trick. You forgot to wrap it in a sheet.
Yeah, we did like blankets and sheets because we both worked Monday through Friday, and then we had to move Saturday.
Classic.
And so then we're moving in everything on Sunday. Well, hey, guess what? We don't have any hot water when we move in.
Oh, no.
So we call for a maintenance request, and they're like, yeah, we'll get to you on Monday.
Ugh.
So we have to go Saturday and Sunday.
Cold showers.
After moving into off of a third story into a third story with cold showers. Now, I will say,
Not horrible.
Cold showers, not the
Not
worst
horrible.
for me because in the Marine Corps, I took them.
Yeah.
My partner, however, like a normal human being who doesn't like cold showers, did not have a good time.
Oh, yeah.
Which is
No,
understandable.
Nate probably did not like that.
Not really. And then we needed internet, and so we were supposed to get our internet the day we moved in,
Okay.
but then our internet guy was like, nah, it's going to be Monday.
Isn't that always
so
the
it's gonna be
case?
Monday morning at 8 a.m.
Yep.
He didn't get there till 5 p.m. So
I mean, I know internet guys got stuff to do too, but come
Stuff to
on,
do.
man.
I mean, so under normal circumstances of not being a remote worker who relies on the internet to do every single thing I do, whether it's YouTube, freelance, I need the internet. That was really, really rough. And then on top of all of that, I got to be on Boaz Mono's podcast, and here's my little plug for that. I don't think it'll be out at the time of this one, but good friend of the show, Boaz
What's
Mono.
his podcast called?
I was on his. It's called the Ismono Podcast.
Cool.
I will find the link and send it to you so you can put it in the show notes.
How many times have you been on it, and why is it always about cheese?
It's always about
It's
cheese.
always about cheese. Why are you
going
guys
through all
talking
the
about
Wisconsin
wheels
cheese.
of Parmesan Romano?
Because it's the best cheese.
It
Kevin,
is.
Besides blue cheese.
Is that what you guys did? Did you split up wheel of cheese?
We debated blue cheese versus ranch the entire podcast.
Ranch isn't cheese.
Yeah, but that was the whole point.
Oh, you're just talking about what insofar as
no.
what? See, hold on though.
Which one's
Insofar
better
as what?
for wings?
Oh, for
and
wings?
which one's better for wings? And it's blue cheese. That's the correct
I
answer.
use neither because I'm a fucking heathen. No dipping
but-
sauces for my wings. There's sauce already. Why would you put sauce on sauce, man?
Sauce on sauce
I
on sauce
don't
because you're
want
Xzibit.
sauce.
We heard you like sauce, dog.
Yo, dog, Xzibit should do the sauciest wings ever,
Yes.
right? Just X wings. Oh shit, it's fucking marketing itself. X wings.
They're Star Wars.
You do
Star
X
Wars
wings.
crossover.
Xzibit. Xzibit. Where are you?
Are you listening?
Let's start the podcast.
Okay.
Okay. Are you ready to clap? Now.
Yeah.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of the UnPop podcast on this completely unhinged vessel. I am your Capitan, todo siempre, Kevin Miner, he, him, kind of like a human bucket of wings. With me as always is...
As always is that my cue?
Hit it.
Odie Matthews.
Okay.
The chef, cooking
Speed
up
it up.
content. And they, them.
Hell yeah.
I wanted to add this real quick about the Bo
That's
Photo
enough.
podcast.
No.
That's enough. I just wanted to say I've been on his podcast. I think this is like my 4th time.
Yes.
And this episode we talked all about my return to YouTube on Odie Matthews. We talked about the growth and like my journey so far.
You
with
never
Magnopus.
left YouTube. Keep going.
Well, no, coming back on the YouTube
The channel. Yes,
Kevin.
your dead channel is back from the
Kevin.
dead.
It's not dead anymore. But then we talked a little bit about our podcast because obviously Bo's been on, so we talked a little bit about
I've never
ours.
met Bo.
You will one day. And then we also talked a little bit about like traveling and what it's been like traveling with like, you know, just basically with what's going on in the world.
Oh, yeah. Well, Bo travels
really
a
interesting
ton.
Yeah, because he lives in Germany, so he travels a ton across Germany and across Europe. For his job, he's a freelance video editor and videographer who is fucking just so extremely talented. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. No, Bo's great.
Yeah, it was a really good time. It was a really fun time. And then Bo will be on our podcast while you're in
The Dominican Republic.
Oh, Dominican.
Possibly jail. Who knows? I don't know. You breathed it into existence now. I might be going through customs in the Dominican and they go, you know what? We've been trying to get you for years, buddy. And I'll be like, for what?
Like clockwork.
Remember the last time I went through the fucking airport? I got pulled aside because my dong triggered security. Like there's just just a block over my crotch in security. I had not. Yeah, I told you this story, and I looked at the guy. I'm like, I don't have anything. He's like, I wouldn't say that. I'm like, for what? Like, what am I supposed to say?
Packing.
Tap away. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yank and tap.
Yeah, no, I'll be in the Dominican Republic as of next week. So
Yep.
you will have 2 episodes, sans Capitan. There will be nobody
you'll
here
have-
steering the ship.
It'll be
It'll just
one.
Be you.
I think next episode will be Bo and I
Yep.
because we're recording next
Title
week.
of
and
that
then-
episode, Fly Like an Eagle. All right. Keep going.
Thank God Kevin's gone. No. And then after that, I'll probably just do a solo episode so you can hear my wonderful
Title
voice
of
for
that
15 minutes
episode, I
straight.
Believe I Can Fly.
No, we don't do R. Kelly on this podcast. I don't like pee.
But
don't
Fly
like
Like
pee.
an Eagle is Seal. You could do that.
That's good. Yeah, he was attacked by seals. Did you
He
know
wasn't
that?
attacked by seals.
Nah, he was attacked by wolves.
Yeah, he survived.
And pop
Man's
star never stopped
insane.
stopping. I love
He's
Seal.
so talented. Let's
are
get
you
into
ready?
the news.
Some news.
Yes, let's do
I've
some
got-
news.
I got 5 pieces of news for you this week, Kevin. And then before we get into talking about the Jason Statham movie I saw and the incredible movie Heretic, I have a quick little fun article. It's a list, but we're going to do it really quick, and you're going to love it. I promise.
Wait, it's a
Super
list?
Fun. It's a list, but we're going to do it super quick.
Okay. Hold on. News. Go.
Yeah, baby. It's the UnPop News coming at you fresh and hot from the command deck of the SS Marlon Brando. Let's see what this week had in store.
Okay.
Okay.
You know Lee Cronin, the director of the newest Evil Dead movie, The Evil Dead Rise, that you really love.
I love Evil
in
Dead
Apartment.
and Evil Dead Rise. Yes.
Yes. So he is directing a new Mummy movie, and they cast its star, who people might know from the Transformers Age of Consent movie. It's Jack Rayner.
Is there a hold on? Is this a remake or a reboot?
I'm pretty sure it's just going to be like a new story about the Mummy. I don't think it's going to be anything like the Brendan Fraser Mummy. I think this is like a new, darker, like twistier kind of how they did like the Wolfman
I was
and
kind of
Invisible
hoping
Man.
you would say like fun.
I don't think it's with Lee Cronin. There's no way this isn't going to be something like gritty and dirty.
I'm fine with this, but also like the Mummy's a classic, baby.
I would love another period piece during like World War One.
I feel like
was that the first one?
I I miss when studios would just update the audio and visual quality of a film, and that's it, right? Like, remember they used to just go through it with a brush. Like, every, 10 years, Star Wars would get a re-release, but it wasn't anything crazy. It was just like, we made it look and sound better. And it's like, great.
Here's CGI Jabba the Hutt. He's next to Boba Fett
That was
now.
actually cool. I did like that a lot. That was cool.
That was actually
like,
good.
when they put, because all it did was it filled out the scene a little more.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like this crazy, like now it's like, oh, we're going to remake The Mummy, but it's darker this time. It's gritty, and it takes
what would be
place in
interesting
Chicago. What?
I think this Mummy movie might honestly, here's my guess for
It's
it.
going to take place in Chicago.
The whole thing takes place in a museum. It's one location.
That would suck.
We'll see. I like
think
Lee
that would
Cronin,
be
though, so
dumb.
I trust him. I trust him.
Whatever.
Do you
All
trust
right.
him?
Yeah, we'll see.
Evil Dead Rise was good.
When the trailer I'm not saying it's gonna be bad. I'm just like, all right, well, is it related to The Mummy that Brendan Fraser was in?
I see. That's the thing is we don't know yet, and that's why my hypothesis is it's going to be a modern, darker. Jack Rayner plays like some museum curator, and then one night the mummy comes to life.
I would love to see a mummy film where like it's like the old Lovecraft tale with where they go beneath the pyramids and like the Sphinx and who's in it? Fucking Houdini is like one of the characters in the story because Houdini actually like paid Lovecraft to put him in a story, and then he put him in this wild adventure. Like, I would love to see a film kind of like that where like it gets real weird at the end, but whatever.
Yeah. Well,
we'll see what happens.
Honestly, my hope is that this is another like World War I style period piece, and he's an archaeologist or whatever, and he actually discovers the tomb, and like I love period pieces like that. Like the first Mummy movie is so fucking
Didn't
good.
it used to be that like mummies would touch you and you would like shrivel up and die and kind of become one yourself or something, right? Wasn't that like a thing? Wait, like mummies.
That's Rogue from
like
X-Men.
if you've removed the because mummies are like zombies, right? They're slow, no brains, right? Like we know this from the embalming technique. So like the mummy. We're talking too much about this. You know what? Well, let's wait till the trailer comes out.
Yeah,
all right.
I mean they haven't even started filming.
Yeah. All right.
But it's gonna be good. I'm excited.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be good one way. Or
I like
another.
Evil Dead. I like Evil Dead Rise. I'll give it a chance. All right.
So Linda Cardellini, who is probably Cardellini, thank you, is probably most famous for live-action Scooby-Doo Velma, Hawkeye's wife, as well as just a slew of incredible roles.
Yes.
She has been cast as Mrs. Voorhees in the Friday the 13th prequel series about Camp Crystal Lake.
I love that.
Yeah,
that's perfect.
Weird, though. What a weird...
No, cool.
Like,
I'm in.
No. Cool, but like, what a weird thing to do a prequel show about. Like, Friday the 13th is all about Jason, even though the first one, technically, Mrs. Voorhees is the killer. But it's,
well, this just fits the MO, right? Like,
But you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Pennyworth, the origins of Batman's butler show, where it was all about Alfred before he became the butler for the Waynes.
Well, and look at what else. Look at what else we have. We've got Welcome to Derry, right? So you've got your It prequel.
I can't wait for
the
that.
The thing that I like about these is like there's a potential that you don't fuck up everything else in that realm, right? Because when you jump ahead or you put something in between a couple films, you run the risk of like inserting something that just doesn't make sense in the universe at all, and you have to then everybody's having a conversation about what's canon, what's not. There's nothing about like the only thing that needs to happen in this prequel series is Jason dies and she goes crazy. Like that's all we need.
Agreed. You know what I would love for this to be?
What?
Here's my pitch for this show. 3 seasons, 8 episodes each.
Okay.
About 40 minutes each. And after the show is done, you use it to springboard a good reboot or like continue the Friday the 13th with Jason because we've not gotten a good one in a long time.
Here's what I would say. Mini-series.
Ooh, that's even better.
40 minutes each because like people like that or whatever, but like mini-series, like 8 episodes really, because like all we need is like...
You could do 8.
Because then you can do kind of like You can do the build up to Jason dying, and like he's gonna die if
He
he's
could
a
die
kid,
in
right?
episode
Or-
7.
No,
Yeah.
like early, like 2, 3, and then watch the descent into the evil character she becomes. That's
give her
much
a chance to really
better. Yeah.
show it.
Show the
Yeah.
arc of how she got that way. Give some irredeemable, shitty counselor characters. Give some redeemable counselor characters who like were nice to Jason and cared about him.
And still
murder
die.
all of them. Like yeah.
Murder
you know what
all.
I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
That'd be good.
we should write this. Is what we're saying. Anyway, next
we
piece
should
of news.
write more stuff. I am excited for this though. I think it's a Peacock show, so we'll see.
Yeah,
I would love
I've
to,
lost
but I would
excitement.
ultimately a little bit. Ultimately, though, I would love to see this spin off into like a new Friday the 13th movie. You know who would do a good Friday the 13th movie? I just thought about this. Lee Winnell, who did Invisible Man and Wolfman. I think he would do a good job. But
yeah, maybe.
we'll see. Okay, so speaking of
Hit me.
Scooby-Doo, a live-action Scooby-Doo show has been ordered at Netflix.
With Mindy Kaling.
Real? Oh God, no! No, they already did that. No.
Yeah, that's
That
Velma.
was at Max. No, that was awful. How did that show get a season 2?
I don't
Well,
Well,
understand.
it must have been okay. I don't know. I didn't watch
People
it.
hate watch. No, because people hate watch the first season, and HBO Max was like, "Look at these numbers."
Yeah, whatever. I mean, if people are watching stuff, that's all like a
Yeah.
corporation cares about is numbers, right? Like they don't care about the creative affluence of anything. So yeah.
No.
All right.
But a live action Scooby Doo show.
Yeah.
I think the way I think you should do this would be casting like actual teenagers that are like seniors in high school, because isn't that what they're supposed to be?
I think they're young adults.
supposed
They're
to
out of
be
high school.
teens?
No, they're like college age. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. No, they're
Okay, then get
yeah.
like your Tom Hollands and your Zendayas.
We'll get a
to
bunch of
be in it.
no. They're old enough
just
now.
kidding.
Leave them alone. Let them go do whatever they're going to do. No.
Let them play
Get some
adults.
unnamed actors who kind of fit the mold of the characters.
Millie
I would
Bobby
say
Brown.
give it that old school like season 1 Stranger Things feel, but with some college kids and their dog. And like it turns out one of them's just really into real estate or something. Like who knows? Like because that's what every episode came down to was like you were after this property because there was whatever.
Oh,
You were
yeah.
just trying to protect the gold that you couldn't find in the basement that was bequeathed to you in a
Now-
will. They were really like, it was really a show about like joint tenants and common legal troubles.
It was usually about
would
like
occur.
abandoned amusement parks and the owner trying to get like
people out of
tax
there
write-off
so he
money.
could so he
Yeah.
could develop the
Like
land and
insurance
do
money.
something else. Yeah, no, it
Yeah.
was always like some dude or some lady who just wanted to do something with property, which we have enough
Yeah.
of in America already. Like you could even do a crossover with like the, selling the hills. Like that could be or what is it? Selling Sunset. You could do a whole Scooby-Doo Selling Sunset crossover series. It'd be great. But
Now, do you do Scooby-Doo talks?
yeah, 100%. You
If it's
have
live
to
action?
do Scooby-Doo talks. Or you have or like you have to find a creative way for him to talk. At least a little
I
bit.
think just let him talk.
Yeah.
I think just do it.
Well, cuz he does. Like, here's the crazy thing. In the beginning of Scooby-Doo, he actually didn't talk that much. He just kind of emoted, right? He didn't start
Yeah.
really talking until like later episodes when they're like, "Oh, no, people are really liking this dog character. Let's have him just talk." And like nobody addressed it.
That's true.
Yeah.
You know what I think the most important thing is for this show,
Scrappy.
though? The most
Scrappy-Doo.
important. Well, yes, put Scrappy doing more stuff. I don't like that they made him a villain in the James Gunn Scooby-Doo
was
movie.
fine.
But Shaggy has to be a star.
Oh, yeah,
I don't
100%.
care. He has to be a
you
star.
can't have him not be. No,
Yeah.
because that's like
Yeah.
his whole character
shy away
arc
from it.
is like every episode. And here's the thing: it's an episodic thing. It's a monster of the week. You got to have the zany chase scenes. You got to have like if you don't have the things that make it the classic that it was, it's just gonna lose all of its charm. Even if it feels new and slightly refreshing, I feel like remember like they did Riverdale and it was just the Archie comics, but it was like angsty and
It
teen
was
related.
okay. in the
Season 1 was
beginning.
fine, but then you
Yeah.
can't keep extrapolating it out into a drama. You got to like keep it in the classic realm, and Shaggy's got to get hungry every episode. It doesn't matter how spooky a place is. If food is there, he
He's
can
gotta be
overcome
hungry.
it. Yeah, and he's also
Exactly.
oblivious. He doesn't even notice that the ghost is behind him most of the time.
I think that with this I would say I would do Monster of the Week. And then maybe do kind of like what a lot of older TV shows used to do, where it's like it's Monster of the Week, but then you're kind of having this overarching season plot that's in the background. Like every couple episodes, a little like piece of information for like a bigger villain, and then at the end of this season, there's a big standoff between another bigger villain that was teased the entire season.
Yeah,
because
that's fine.
I think that would be good, but I think unfortunately with Netflix, I worry that this isn't going to be a Monster of the Week, and if it's not, it's just not. If it's just like 8 episodes of them trying to figure out one mystery, boo.
Yeah, that'll be lame.
Boo.
Yeah, at least if you're gonna do live action with this, at least a few mysteries, right? Like 4.
You have to.
If you're doing
Show
8
us these
episodes,
iconic,
4
there's
mysteries.
so many
right?
of
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many villains. You got like put them all in, dude. Like I will admit, Monsters Unleashed, the live action Scooby-Doo #2. I mean, it's not good, but I like
fine.
that it was just like here's all these iconic villains you recognize.
Oh yeah,
you know?
yeah. No, that was good.
That's what I want.
Cool. What else you got?
So, speaking of iconic, Nick Frost might be playing Hagrid in the Harry Potter TV show.
I did see that news. That's cool. I like that. I'm in.
So I figured you'd be in. So what I wanted to say on that is I read this interview with John Lithgow about him playing Dumbledore.
Uh-huh.
And they were asked about like, hey, are you worried like if this role is going to be like, difficult, because like he's an older guy, like he's going to be in his 80s when it's over. And we talked about that. And he was like, basically John Lithgow was like, nah, I read the books, and if every season's a book, there's not going to be a lot for me to do.
Yeah.
Because like ultimately
He's like, we'll film all my scenes right now.
Yeah, like he was like, yeah, I'm not worried about it at all.
Yeah.
No,
No, we've talked about this. Dumbledore just kind of shows up at the end. It's like, I haven't been paying enough attention to you again, Harry. Like,
and then Snape pushes him.
out the window. I love the casting for this. Didn't David Tennant get cast in this as well? Right?
If David Tennant's not in this, I'm gonna be upset.
I honestly would be too. Like if
he's amazing.
yeah,
I
he'd be
love
so
him.
good. I would love to see David Tennant. I feel like you should just be getting like the best current British actors for this series to play the parts that you can. And then some unnames for like for young I feel like for young adults, for like young kids, young adults, it's always better to find talented unnamed actors, right? Like cuz then it's fresh.
100%.
Nobody has any other opinions on them. You kind of lock them into the contract for a little bit. At least get a few seasons in before they're off doing something else. And then like Daniel Radcliffe, a perfect example, all he did was Harry Potter. And then afterward, it was like, oh, no, he's actually really talented. Here's him naked on stage with a horse thing. Like, like.
Yeah. Let's see. So, oh, wow. No, there's not a lot of casting for this.
No.
We'll keep up with this as it
we
goes.
should. Because I'm excited
so far,
about it, and I hope that.
Those are the only 2 confirmed so far. So we'll keep you updated.
Yeah, I just hope
Stay
the
tuned.
creative development for this gets ripped away from J.K. Rowling. Like, I hope.
It is.
Yeah, I hope.
So
it's
I
just,
do know that.
Yeah.
I know she's a producer, but in terms of creative control, I'm pretty
got
sure
minimal.
HBO Max or HBO Discovery made a deal with her that was like, hey, you can still get paid, but like stay the fuck away from the writers' room.
Yeah.
Because Magnum Opus made a video about Fantastic Beasts, and yeah, like we can't
We
risk
can't
that
do it.
anymore.
Magnum Opus hates Fantastic Beasts now.
Yeah, 20,000 people saw that, so I assume that's enough.
That's
to
enough
sideline
people.
her. Last bit
Yep.
of news. Going back to Netflix, this is so fucking funny, and you might even know this story from a few years back,
Hit me.
or a couple years back. A guy named Carl Eric Rinch is being sued by Netflix for $11 million.
For?
I will give you one guess as to why Netflix is suing this guy.
Copyright infringement, whatever.
He got a ton of money from Netflix to make a movie, spent most of it on luxury items, and then disappeared.
Good for him.
He never made a movie.
Good for him.
And now Netflix is suing him.
He should just go back to Netflix and say, all right, new pitch. I'm going to make a movie about me not making a
About
movie.
this.
Yes, that's what needs to happen. He should just go in court. You should say, Your Honor, I have the entire plot of the movie right here. This is me. I'm doing method directing. Have you heard of method acting? This is method directing. I'm writing it while I'm living this life.
That's amazing.
That'd be the best.
Yeah.
I have one piece of news for you.
Oh.
Yeah, I got a little bit. Nicolas Cage rocks crucifix-shaped sunglasses and key art for new Western gunslingers. I don't know if you've seen
Nicolas
this at
Cage.
all, but this movie should just be called You're All Old Now. Here's Stephen Dorff, Heather Graham, and Nicolas Cage in a gunslinger
God.
Western film, and he's got crucifix-style glasses on.
I will be watching this movie for sure.
I don't know what this is about, but the entire article was just about how, like, they were like, here's another chance for Nicolas Cage to show off how eccentric he can be. Because, like, nobody's as I love that Nicolas Cage keeps showing up for these films and just being the most eccentric actor. Like,
I love
it's
him.
totally fine, and like some of it might make some of the characters less appealing to me because like I don't want an actor to hit the same beat all the time, but that doesn't matter, baby, because he's just going off the walls in all of these films.
Dude, he's incredible. I want to see his new movie Surfer that's coming out, where he gets
He's
in.
doing like
so
15
he's like,
movies a year.
Dude, Surfer is about he lived in Australia and he goes back and these Australians are like, you're not welcome to surf here. And he's like, but I want to. And then they like fight.
Love it. It's great.
Love it.
It's great.
Okay, so that's with the news.
That's the news for the week, baby.
So I'd like to go over this article real quick and then we can jump in
Oh, yeah. What's your article?
to my Jason Statham
Wait,
movie.
you have a list?
This is a fun article for us. I haven't read this article yet. I saw the title and I was like, boom.
Hit it.
And I saw the title this morning. So this is from The Wrap, and the title of this article is the 13 Jason Stathamist movies ranked.
Perfect. Go ahead.
It sounds like you wrote that title.
Let's do the list.
Okay, here we go. So first off, it says 13. It starts at number 11.
Great.
So
Perfect. Skip 2. They're like, yeah, these two actually. Never mind. We're cutting them off.
So number 11 is his movie Safe from 2012. Have you seen that one?
No.
No. It's fine.
I will have not
number
seen most of these.
Yeah, and I'm not going to talk about most of these. I just wanted to go through it and kind of see what these people thought.
Great.
So 11 is Safe. It's one of his weaker movies. 10 is Snatch. Good movie, but not a Jason Statham
That's
movie.
fucking 10? All right, keep going.
Yeah, but it's not even a Jason Statham
Yes,
movie.
it is. Keep going.
Number 9 is Fate of the Furious, which
Is that
again
7?
he's barely in. That's 8.
Okay, keep going.
Number 8 is the movie Homefront, where he fights Dave Franco
Never seen it.
for
Keep
drugs. Number 7, they put these two together, The Meg and The Meg 2.
Oh, that's why there's
two
13.
of the best. Oh, that makes sense. But those are two of the best movies ever.
Okay, whatever. Keep going. Haven't seen
Dude, have
haven't
you
seen
seen The
either
Meg
all the
2?
way through. Haven't seen either all the way.
Dude,
No. Nope.
So
Nope.
good.
Keep going.
Well written.
Keep-
well acted.
Keep going. Keep going.
Number 6 is his movie Wild Card, where he's a gambler who gets in trouble and then has to beat people up. Sound familiar?
I've seen that one. I don't know.
Number 5 is The Beekeeper, where he's a top secret agent who's retired and then has to beat people
That
up.
should have been 10. Keep going.
No, Beekeeper is
Whatever.
good. I'm not going to lie.
Whatever.
Beekeeper is good. Number 4 is The Bank Job, where he's a criminal who wants to rob a bank and beat people
That one's
up.
fine.
Number 3 is probably my favorite Jason Statham role, but this is not a Jason Statham movie, but Spy with Melissa McCarthy.
That's actually his highest rated movie of all time on Rotten Tomatoes. Keep going.
It makes sense. Dude, the best part of that movie is when he's like talking to her and he's like, I lost this arm and I reattached it with this arm. Like when he's talking about
Yeah.
all the stupid shit he's done, that was improvised too.
Love it.
Number 2, Transporter and Transporter
There's-
2, not Transporter 3, just the
That's
first
why it's
two.
13.
That's the one where he drives a car and he also beats people up.
Yeah. Transporter 2. I remember that. Transporter 2 was the first movie I almost walked out of in the beginning because it got so ridiculous. Remember, he barrel rolls the car to get the bomb off the bottom of the car with a crane that's conveniently located so that he can barrel roll the car while hitting a jump. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm done with this
That's
movie.
awesome.
No, I'm done.
That's early Fast
I'm
and the Furious.
done with this movie. All right.
And the number 1 most Jason Stathamist movie.
Yes.
Can you take a guess? You love it. I love it. We
I
all
have
love
no
it.
idea.
It is Crank from 2006.
Why didn't they do Crank 1 and Crank 2? Just make it 14 films. Jesus. There's a 3.
Isn't
There's
that
Crank
great?
3. It's a
There's not a Crank
trilogy.
3.
Yes, there's a.
It's not a Crank.
There's a Crank 2.
No, there's not. There's a Crank 2, but there's no 3.
I thought there was a 3.
They need to make a
No,
3.
they don't.
We should petition
No,
for
they
that.
don't.
Yes, we should.
Okay.
Yep.
Here's the thing. These are all Jason Statham-y movies, right? But this
It's
is
just him beating people up.
Okay. The reason he even got these roles is because
he was an Olympic
of
diver.
Snatch. No, because
Lock,
he did
Stock, and Two
such a
Smoking
good.
Barrels.
Well, not just no. Snatch was the sequel to Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels in a way. It was like a spiritual sequel, right? He plays, what's his name? Ham. I think they call him Ham or Pork or whatever his name is, right? In Lock, Stock, his name is like Ham or something. It's fucking
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen that one.
I haven't seen it in a long time, but it's one of my favorite movies. His name's like Pork or Ham or whatever. Anyway, so Bacon. His name's Bacon. That's what it is in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. He's just running from the cops. He's not really a gangster, but he's kind of gangster, right? He's the one who has like the badass idea, but he's really just part of this ragtag group of guys trying to make a buck in Britain. Then he gets upgraded in Snatch. He's the main fucking character. He starts and ends the entire movie, and everything that he does affects everything in the movie. Like, it's all kind of interwoven. It's great. Him being in that film and being any bit of tough whatsoever ended up landing him the transporter, right? So, like, getting into these roles, this is because he was playing that kind of character in Guy Ritchie films. And Guy Ritchie films, actually, very much like Jason Statham films, have a higher audience rating than they do critic ratings, period.
I
right?
agree. Yeah.
He kind of fits that mold. He falls into that realm. Then eventually he's in Guy Ritchie's film, Wrath of Man. And I would say that's
good one.
what reinvigorated his action career. He really, like, anytime he's in a really good Guy Ritchie film, it ends up catapulting him a little bit more because people are like, oh yeah, no, he's good. We should do this. But everyone tries to do with him what Guy Ritchie does with him, or rather what he and Guy Ritchie do together in films, and then they fall short. All of these directors and writers fall short of actually utilizing him as a good actor, and instead they just make him like this action meat puppet that's kind of doing the same story over and over again. I don't think Jason Statham's a bad actor. I think he's in bad movies.
I mean, I don't. Okay, so I will say this: I am a Jason Statham fangirl boy. For forever. I will always love this man. I will see every movie he's in, good or bad. I'm gonna walk away from that movie being like, Jason Statham was good. And that's all I care about. I will say I don't disagree that people don't know how to use him, and I think David Ayer, who directed A Working Man, which is the movie I'm going to talk about. He also directed The Beekeeper, but he's also directed things like Fury, which is incredible. True. And that's about the only other good movie he's directed. Because he did the bad Suicide Squad.
You saw Working Man this week. Yet another of Jason Statham's. I'm just a normal guy who's been forced into abnormal.
This one's the most I'm a normal guy ever. Yeah. This is the most like I'm a normal dude who's back into it movie I've seen in a while.
It's The Mechanic. It's Transporter.
The Mechanic is good.
It's all of the Mechanic's fine. It's all of the movies that he's done a million times. And this is the reason why I'm like, I don't think he's a bad actor. I think he's just in the same movies. But these movies make money, and that's why he's in them, right? And we've talked about this before. Just because a movie makes money doesn't mean that it's good, right? Because there's a bunch of stupid people who will go see bad movies. We know this. But ultimately, like, you went to the movies this week. We'll play the clip.
Odie Matthews at the movies.
All right, Odie, tell me about The Working Man.
Well, I was going to say, on what you said about him, like, directors not really knowing how to utilize him, I think David Ayer just kind of missed the chance to actually, like, if you had written his character in this movie a little bit better and maybe toned down his one-man wrath of, like, redemption or revenge.
His Wrath of Man? He's doing Wrath of Man again?
Well, so Wrath of Man is actually good because he doesn't just go in guns blazing.
Yes.
You know, he works undercover and he anyways.
It's
that's
good
one of my
because
favorite
it's
Jason
Guy
Statham
Ritchie. Keep going.
It's good. In this one, so here's the plot of A Working Man. A Working Man is about Jason Statham, who plays I don't
Wait,
know.
let me get.
His name is Jason Statham.
You don't even.
Let me look
this
it up.
This is how
What-
great this movie is. You don't even know the character's name. Here,
I don't know any
I'll
of the
say what the
characters'
movie's about.
names.
Jason Statham is an insert whatever that qualifies him to actually do anything tougher.
Counter-terrorist
Whatever.
operative.
Yeah, he's an ex
what he is in
counter-terrorist
this one.
guy. He's ex-military, whatever it is, right?
Yes.
And so everybody's gonna get a big action boner, and then he's just doing normal stuff, and his past is behind him, and whatever. He's never gonna have to do it ever again. He's got a nice, simple life, and he appreciates the people around him. But then, there's a bad guy who's got something to do with the job he's doing, and he's gonna murder a couple key people, and Jason Statham's gonna go all John Wick, Jason Statham
Wrong.
on. Okay. Well, what?
You almost had it.
What's it about?
Okay, his name is Levin Cade. Yeah. Like, I
Just
don't
call
know.
him Jason Statham. All right, so Jason Statham.
Yeah. So this is about Jason Statham was a Royal Marine Special Forces counter-terrorist operative who worked with American Marines.
He was Special Forces. Okay, got it. Go.
His wife committed suicide while he was on a deployment.
Yep.
And so he lost custody of his daughter, who lives with his
Why do you
father-in-law.
lose custody? Because you're on deployment.
Because
Because that's whatever. Keep going.
Yeah, I don't know.
Whatever.
Anyways, so then he's working for a construction family run by Michael Pena, and they have a daughter who's in college. And one day, he's working, and some guys come to beat up another construction worker.
And he beats
so
them up.
He beats them up, and
Oh.
then the daughter, I think her name was Sophia. We're gonna call her Sophia.
Whatever.
The daughter was like, "Yo, man." You're badass. Can you teach me how to be badass? And he's like, you didn't see nothing. And then that night, she gets kidnapped by Russians.
She gets Tooken. All right.
She gets
We're doing Tooken.
And then,
Got it.
And then Michael Pena's like, hey, Jason Statham,
You wanna do a Tooken?
You know how to fight. You can find her, right? And he's like, I don't do that anymore. And he's like, I'll give you $50,000. And he's like, I don't do that anymore. And then he goes to see a blind David Harbour.
Great.
Who's like, and
David Harbour's like, you got to have a moral compass. What's the point of living if you ain't got a moral compass?
Kind of.
Great.
So this is probably like the stupidest moment in the movie.
Go ahead.
But he's like, they're sitting by a fire, and David Harbour, his character's name is Gunny because he was a gunnery sergeant. He's like, Jason Statham's like, yeah, they took this girl and
they done
David
took her,
Harbour's
but
like,
I don't do that stuff anymore.
You came here looking for permission, but I already know what you're gonna do. And Jason Statham looks at him. He's like, I'm gonna get her back. and then the rest of the movie
eyes
is
roll so fucking hard.
Then the rest of the movie is he finds the clues to
He's tracking
rescue
people down
her.
and killing them and getting the info he needs to get her back from the Russians.
So like he finds the bar that she was kidnapped from, and he like interrogates the bartender at his house, and then he kills the bartender.
Oh,
and
he
then,
kills the bartender.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
This is
like one of the
unredeemable
Russian-
character, the bartender.
Well, he was bad. He helped get this girl
Yeah,
kidnapped.
he was like, I got a girl here that you guys can
And he
come
did drugs.
kidnap. Oh, he did
He did a lot
drugs.
of
and he got,
drugs.
okay.
He was dealing drugs.
Yeah.
And then
Because getting
he,
a
like-
girl kidnapped isn't enough. All right.
Yeah, exactly. And then, the Russians get involved, and he kills one of the leaders of the Russians, and he kills another leader's, like, two sons.
Yeah.
And
He's
then
killing, like,
he
enforcers
finds-
and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then he finds, like, a barker. He finds a biker bar where the leader is a former airborne person and, like, doing drugs for the Russians. And so Jason Statham goes undercover as a guy named, like, I think his name was, like, Bill Waters or something. Like, he uses, like, code name, and it was, like, Bill.
Waters. All right.
And then I mean, basically the rest of the movie is he tracks down Russians and kills them, and it all comes to a climactic end at a farmhouse in the woods where Jason Statham uses the most impractical weapon for raiding a house.
So they go to a
So-
farmhouse in the woods because they ran out of budget. As Jason Statham's just like absolutely wrecking house in the city. They're like, all right, the budget's getting low, guys. Who's got family out in the country? We can go finish this film. Less people, less cars.
Yeah.
Okay.
The girl at one point escapes her captives. It's his brother's sister.
Gets out of there.
One's named one's named Viper and like one's named like Spider.
This is
or
so
something.
dumb. Keep going.
And then she escapes and she runs into the cops, but the cops are on the payroll.
Okay.
So they take her to the farmhouse or this like, dude, they literally got this guy that is basically playing like the Penguin. He wears a top hat. He smokes the pipe that the Penguin smokes.
Yeah.
He's got like a black suit. He's literally the Penguin. He's a short, like round guy. He's literally the Penguin.
So he fights the Penguin.
Well, no, he blows that guy's head off.
Oh, he
in, like,
blows
one-
his head
one-
off.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And just like bam. But
Good switch.
The farmhouse bit. So
Hit me.
And I sent you a voice message and I was like, hey, like my little military brain like loves this shit, but this made me laugh so
yeah,
fucking
it's got like
hard.
the thing where he can see through the scope of his gun or whatever.
I'll get to that.
Like a remote controlled gun.
I want to build up to that moment because it's really fucking
Such a-
funny. I want to build it up
Such
for
a
you.
Spec Ops
But-
boner moment.
So he uses an M14. Now, for anybody that's not gun savvy, and I'm not like the most gun savvy person in the world, but an M14 is a long-barreled marksman rifle.
Yeah.
Right? That is a gun that you would use like at a little bit like medium to long range, I would
Okay.
say. So
as opposed
not very
to its
practical.
sibling, the M16.
Or like the M4, like a short barreled, like, automatic carbine, right? Like makes a lot more sense to clear a house with something like that than a long barreled M14. No, he clears the house with the M14.
Okay.
So,
All right.
Like it looks so clunky though, because you have to like, I'm doing motions on a podcast, but like to clear corners, like you have
it's
to raise
longer,
and lower
so you
it.
got to lift it. There's
Yeah.
a little leverage. Yeah.
Dude, he's using like a scope at like when someone is like 10 feet in front of him. But the thing was, Kevin, is before that, when he's getting into the farmhouse, he's sniping people with his silenced pistol. So he's using a pistol to snipe people outside, and then M14.
I'm so glad I didn't see this movie because I would have not let that go. The rest of the I would have been like, okay, yeah, he has gun dyslexia. Like, what is this?
Pretty much.
I forgot
So
which
then-
one's for which. Doesn't matter.
And I'm just gonna go over the final battle,
Okay.
and then we'll move on to a better
Yes.
movie because there's nothing else that
Please.
happens in this. But so the bikers show up, like a big biker gang shows
Airborne
up, and I'm like,
bikers.
oh shit, like,
yeah.
yeah. I was like, oh shit, is this gonna
The
be like,
veterans.
a huge fight? No, they just like come in the door one by one, and he just like picks them off one by one, and then this one person drives a bike into the barn or the house, and I'm like, oh, this was the dude's like right hand man, like this guy's gonna be. Nah, he just gets shot off the bike, and the bike explodes and sets the house on
What?
fire. And then
This is so
the
dumb.
and then Jason Statham fights his way to the room where the siblings, the Viper and Spider combo with Penguin, are holding the girl.
Okay.
He blows Penguin's head off. He breaks the brother's neck, and then the girl kills the other one. She like strangles her with her legs.
Oh, wow.
So the girl gets to kill somebody.
badass.
Woo, she got her wish. And so then on their way out, the house is on fire.
Yay.
Right, like everybody is pretty much dead.
They're getting out of there.
So before they get out, though, the big baddie Russian whose sons were killed,
Big
and
baddie.
he was the one that he was working with the biker gang selling drugs and stuff.
work for Big Baddie.
He shows up, and these two Russian enforcers who earlier we saw were like they were psycho. Like one's this like pale bald guy who uses a grenade launcher, and he's kind of big and tough. And the other one's this like weird lanky guy with like scriggly hair who uses
And
a
you're
giant
like,
machine
oh,
gun. He's
no.
always
How
smiling.
are they gonna get
He's, like,
out of this one?
Pennywise. And like they're spraying machine gun fire, and I'm like, oh, what are they gonna do? Jason Statham on his chest has this little phone. He pulls it down, and he lifts up the rifle and just like holds it over the edge, and he's like aiming it and just blows one of them back, and then just lobs a grenade and blows the other one up. They walk out of the house
dumb.
as it's on fire. He jumps on a motorcycle. The Russian guy is looking at him, and he's on the phone with like the big Russian guy. I guess there's like another big Russian guy.
Uh-huh.
And the other guy's like, he's the devil, and we stole from him. Don't let your personal vendettas get in the way because the brotherhood is more important. Just let him go. And then he just rides into the sunset. And that's the movie, Kevin.
That's so dumb.
Oh, sorry, not the sunset, sunrise.
That's so dumb. Great. Moving on. All right. Here's
No, wait, I'm not done. I'm just kidding. It's
okay. Fine.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
the same thing that it's always been. And I know you love Jason Statham, but
no. The action in this movie is really good. The action is good. Like the fight scenes, the choreography, except for the M14 in the barnhouse. But like, there are some really good fight scenes. So my suggestion with this, my ranking for this is fun.
Yeah. Is it garbage, bad, fun, good, or great?
It's fun.
Okay.
And I would say if you wait for it to come out on streaming, but if you want like just a stupid 2-hour Jason Statham beats people up and everybody kind of is a bad actor in it, you should watch this movie.
I'm sure at some point I'll be like, getting older and less physically functional, and I'll probably watch stuff like this and be like, yeah, that's fucking cool.
We're gonna have a Jason Statham marathon.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
Here's what I wanted to bring up. This is a nice little transition from this movie into the other one. Thanks for sharing everything that you share with us today on Jason Statham's newest movie, where he plays the mechanic / Liam Neeson / Idris Elba in whatever role he's playing. Yeah, / Jason Statham. Jason Statham famously does not have a lot of highly rated movies. Famously, he just doesn't have a lot of highly rated movies on Rotten Tomatoes. So I wanted to bring this up because we're talking about two actors this week: Jason Statham and Hugh Grant. Jason Statham's highest rated film is a 95, and it's the movie Spy, which is not
like a side
which
character.
Is him making fun of himself. The best he's ever done is making fun in this style of film is making fun of this style of film. Now, he also was in Fast 7 or Furious 7, which was not fat. They got rid of the Fast.
He was also in a
They're
movie
just
with
Furious,
Hugh Grant.
that one. So in Furious, yes, he was. So in Furious 7, wait, what movie with Hugh Grant?
He's in Ruse de
Oh,
Gueux.
Operation Fortune.
Yeah.
He's in Furious 7, and they have an 82 across the board on Rotten Tomatoes.
And he's a bad guy until he's not.
The Bank Job got
movie.
a 79% and a 74. After that, the next one is Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, which is actually it's in his top highest rated on Rotten Tomatoes by the critics, right? But it's actually I think his highest rated audience wise, which is a 93%.
That makes sense.
Yes. So going back to what I was saying, a lot of these have real low critics but here's the thing. A lot of these have real low critics ratings, but real high audience ratings. Because there's obviously an audience, like all the Odie Matthewses out there, who want to see this shit at least once or twice a year. The Beekeeper
I'll go see Beekeeper
has a 92 audience rating.
Beekeeper was good, dude. He blows up Josh Hutcherson, who's the president's son.
I don't care.
It's so
I don't
good.
like these films. He's in The
He throws a
Expendables
jar of
2,
honey.
which is famously horrible. He's in
Okay, yeah, that's a bad one.
Blitz, which got a 48 and a 36.
That's not
He's
good.
in Romeo and Juliet, which we talked
That's a
about
good
last
movie.
week. Famously
movie. Best movie
horrible.
ever.
No,
Yeah,
these are
famously
bad.
bad.
He's in
Famously
the
bad.
movie 13, which has a 7% and a 34% rating.
I've never even heard
Me
of 13.
neither. But
What the
so
fuck is that?
let's contrast this to, we're going to also talk about The Heretic, which has Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant's highest
good
rated
movie.
film, critic-wise, is a 99% for Paddington 2, in which he plays the bad guy. Phoenix, whatever his name is.
Oh, yeah.
He's also in Sense and Sensibility, which has a 97 and a 90. Hugh Grant has a much more dynamic filmography than Jason Statham does. He's kind of all over the board. I feel like Jason Statham has tried to be another. Hugh Grant, in the past few years, has been in Unfrosted, which was horrible.
Bad.
Willy Wonka, or the Wonka movie, which
He was
got
the
a good
Oompa Loompa.
got a good rating. He's the Oompa
he's the
Loompa.
fucking Oompa
He is
Loompa.
Mr. Oompa.
Yeah, he's all
He is
of them.
Mr. Oompa. He was in Dungeons and Dragons, phenomenal.
Good.
Operation Fortune,
good.
great, right?
That's a good movie.
He was in Death to 2020, The Gentleman, Paddington 2.
Good. Good.
He was also in The Man from U.N.C.L.E., which I think was better than most people rated it. But then
I like that one.
you go back and he's in Cloud Atlas. He's in
Bad.
bad, right? He's in Music and Lyrics, which was okay. He's in American Dreams, Bridget Jones, like, and if you go back, he's in Love Actually and all these romance. Because originally he was like a heartthrob guy, right?
Until he ruined his reputation.
Yes.
I think he did this on purpose when he tried to pick up sex workers in the 90s.
It's not that he tried to pick up sex workers. It's that he and a specific sex worker got caught in 1995.
Yes.
And it's because apparently whatever was going on was so good he was hitting his brakes a lot. So whatever was going on there, he's hitting a brake light, which signaled police. They get caught. Do you want to know because I looked this up this morning. Do you want to know the penalties that Hugh Grant and this sex worker had to pay? Hugh Grant had to pay $1,100 and go to an AIDS class. And the sex worker had to pay $1,300 and go to an AIDS class.
Wow, the 90s were wild. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, yeah.
Here's I honestly don't think that this would ruin your reputation today. Like, I honestly think having gotten picked up with a prostitute, that everybody would have just gone, how old? Oh, of consenting age?
Okay.
Fine. Like, you know, like,
What
it
else
wouldn't
is
ruin
new?
anything. Like, yeah,
No.
we'd be like, oh,
But
that's kind of sus, but whatever. But so it was 1995. He went on a talk show. He apologized for it. He was dating Elizabeth Hurley at the time, and they tried to make it work out. Didn't. He has since been married. Like, this has kind of moved on in his career.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is 30 years ago.
Up until The Gentleman, like, I couldn't remember a movie he was in, like, before that, because I wasn't thinking. I wasn't like, oh, Sense and Sensibility. Oh, Love Actually. Oh, all of these great films. I couldn't even think about it, because when he popped up in The Gentleman, I'm like, I know this guy, but he looks so much different. He's so much older that, like, I was like, oh, no, this is a good actor in a good movie, you know? And then after that, Dungeons and Dragons. And even this movie, The Heretic, that we're going to talk about, he is phenomenal. Like, we talk about range. I think Jason Statham is not allowing himself to explore a range, right? And or just accepting the paychecks that are within a limited range, because he could be better. Hugh Grant, on the other hand, is fucking exploring range. Like, this is a horror film.
Yeah.
And he even said in an interview about the movie The Heretic, which you and I both watched this week, he said, I don't really like horror much, but I know about A24 because he saw Midsommar. And he's like, I saw that 3 years ago and I'm still haunted. You know? And like, so A24 was on his radar because of Midsommar. And then he got this opportunity to work with these two actresses. What are their names? Chloe East and
Sophie Thatcher.
Is it Sophie Thatcher? That's
yes. From Yellow
I love
Jackets
Sophie
and
Thatcher.
Companion.
She's awesome.
Dude, now I've seen her in two things, and she is the best part of both those movies.
Dude.
Like, she's incredible.
Dude, Heretic is okay. So
You need to see Companion. You need to see Companion.
I do need to see Companion. But let's get into Heretic. So we got Sophie Thatcher, Sophie Thatcher also, like, she has a very unique look, but I think it's because she has, like, the features of a bunch of other actresses we're familiar with. You know what I mean? Like, there are some scenes where I'm like, you look like Anya Taylor-Joy, or you look like, you know, and I'm like, kind of like, I'm like trying to like, but she also is completely her own person and has a unique look. Chloe East,
100%.
though, fucking takes the cake in this film.
I've never seen her in anything else.
Fucking nominal. Okay, so
also, real quick, let me just say this movie was directed by the guys who wrote the Quiet Place movies with John Krasinski, and they also directed a movie called Haunt, which is another horror movie from 2019.
Yes.
So very, 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 very talented. I think it's Scott Beck and somebody else.
Yes. I'm looking up
But yeah.
Chloe East right now, and you would not
don't
know
recognize-
almost anything she's in. Like,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the stuff right now, and probably the thing you might be the most familiar with is, so we've got The Wolf of Snow Hollow, which is like that's kind
Never
of a
heard
thriller.
of that. It sounds like a CW show.
No, it's pretty good. It's a good movie. It's 2020. And then The Fablemans from 2022.
Oh,
She's in
right.
The
She's in she's in that.
But
Okay.
she was, I mean, even in this, she looks young. She's 24. Yeah. So in 2020,
Yeah, they're
she
both
was just
like
20,
24.
so she was probably playing like a 13-year-old. You know, like, you know how Hollywood
they look
functions.
young in this too.
But
They look real young.
Yeah,
in this.
so let's go through. Do you want to do the plot of this movie real quick, and then we can kind of go through it, like the synopsis, the setup, and like how it
Yeah. I
unravels
would
a little
love
bit,
to.
and then we'll do spoilers for it. Okay.
Yeah. So this movie is about, and I'm like 95% sure this takes place in Utah.
It definitely
I'm
does. I mean,
assuming.
look at how
Yeah,
quickly
definitely
the
does.
weather shifts to snowstorm.
As somebody who lived in Salt Lake City, I'm pretty sure this is Utah. Basically, it follows two young girls, Sister Barnes and Sister Paxton,
Yes.
who are members of the Church of Latter-day
The Church of
Saints.
Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yeah, sure.
They're Mormon.
they-
They're Mormon, Odie.
They
You can just
are.
say they're
there are
Mormon.
Mormons, and they are basically door knockers who, in their whatever town they're in Utah, are going around trying to convert people.
Yes.
And they are laughing stock. They get bullied by local teenagers who pants them, and people ignore
Magic
them.
underwear, baby.
And they end up at the doorstep of a man named Mr. Reed, who at first seems to be a charming man who is interested in theology and discussing things until maybe he's not what he seems.
Until this movie was made by A24, so you know he's not. Like that's
And let me just say this. If you love a slow burn movie, this does it really, really
Yeah.
well. I feel like every sequence as we move through it and move to the next one, like, we'll talk about it, but like the board game sequence, or when she discovers secret doors, like there are so many moments where it lingers and it kind of takes its time, and then it builds, and then you get the answer, and then something else builds and you get the answer. And it's done really, really well.
also Topher Grace making an appearance in this film. Real fun.
for
For
two
all
scenes.
of 2 seconds, and handled very
Elder
well.
Kennedy.
And like in a good way, like good cameo.
Yeah.
Way to like. That could have been like his part could have been anyone. It doesn't matter.
It didn't
but
even need to
he
be
did
there.
a
I mean,
good
you could've-
job
yeah.
being in it at all. Like,
Yeah, he did. Especially because the last movie I saw him in was Flight Risk.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see him in a good movie.
Okay, so yeah, let's do good garbage, bad, fun, good, or great.
I'm gonna say this one was great.
I agree. Yep.
I
This
enjoyed
movie
it a lot.
is certified unpop greatness.
Certified.
Certified unpop greatness. I gotta go. Now I have to do a sound clip for that.
gotta stop
What
making these
what
sound
does
effects.
greatness sound like, Odie? Does it sound like a bell?
eagle screech.
Is it a chime? Is it, no. Fine. Fine.
Yeah,
It'll be an eagle
I finally
screech.
did it.
Whatever. All right. So
I knew I would get one eventually.
greatness.
Hey, when you're not on the podcast for the next 2 episodes, I'm gonna put that in
Yeah.
everywhere.
All right. Spoilers for the Heretic starting now.
Yeah,
I
spoilers.
loved this film front to back. I love how it opens up with a conversation between two girls, and you think that the film is showing you who is a believer and who is not based on body language, intonation, inflection, right? And they're both sitting on this bench, and it opens up with just this simple conversation, and Chloe East is like recounting watching porn.
It's about
once.
Magnum condoms and porn.
Yes, and
Yeah.
she's talking about it, and then the other Sophie Thatcher's character, is she Paxton or Barnes?
She's
Okay.
Barnes and yeah.
So Sister Barnes is kind of like, she's like, oh, do you like, and she's kind of reacting awkwardly to it, but you don't know, like they never give up. Like, is she reacting
Yeah,
awkwardly
she's like,
because
"Do
she
you-
watches porn, or like, you know?
Do you watch a lot of
Yeah.
pornography? And then she's like, no, I don't watch
Yeah.
a lot of pornography. And the way they even like, and as a former Christian, who was, deep South Southern Baptist, like raised with the Bible in the womb, I really love the
gross.
way, and I think they did a really good job with the dialect, not just the writing, but credits to the actresses for the way that they were sexing, like the awkwardness and the pauses between the words that like are considered blasphemous or like full of sin.
Yep.
And they're on a bench, and on the back of the bench is literally a thing that says size does matter, and it's about condoms as they're having this conversation, which I am assuming sparked the conversation as they're walking to the bench. They see that, and then they that's where the conversation kind of picks up. Like stuff like that is just so well done in
this movie. Yeah, it does a very good job setting up the atmosphere. Then they're like, oh, those girls are so cool. The girls pants them and ask about magic underwear, you know, like, and it just shows it shows how different they are from other people, or rather what they would regard as being like normal, regular, like your everyday people, right? Because they're on this mission trip. And then we kind of get like a little montage of them going up and down these stairs and like going about this day. And you can tell like it's been a day for them. And then they end up at this guy's house. It looks like it's going to storm soon. And it's fucking Hugh Grant. And he's charming as fuck because he's Hugh Grant, you know? Like,
he's charming even when the veil is lifted.
Oh, yeah.
He's still...
Yeah.
So
Because he
charming.
can't not be, because he's fucking Hugh
I know.
Grant.
He's great.
But he welcomes them in. They're like, hey, your wife needs to be present. He's like, oh, yeah, she's just making blueberry pie. I will go get her. And this is like the first little bit where, like, it's an A24 film. I'm like, there's like immediately, even though you're rewarded later for this, I'm like, there's no fucking wife. Like, there's no wife for this guy. And sure enough, there's none. But like the way that, like you said, it's a slow burn. So they go in and then they're having this conversation. And it's a very normal conversation that you might expect missionaries to have with someone. And I love how like they have the cutesy little name. They're like, he's an investigator. He's investigating religions, right? And that means that he might convert to Mormonism. And so they sit down, they're having this conversation. It gets increasingly awkward. And then he's like, can I ask you an awkward question? And it's like, oh.
That was a good, I like this
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
And everybody, the scene kind of stops for a moment. And they're like, okay. And you're like, oh, what's he going to ask? Like, even as I love that the movie does this. It messes with you as the viewer, too. Because it's like, oh, what's he going to ask? And you're kind of in the shoes of Sister Pax and Sister Barnes because they're thinking the same thing. And then he's like, what do you think of polygamy? And that's a tough question for a Mormon to answer because the church kind of did away with it, but at the same time, like, some people still practice it that are Mormon, and you know, like, so there's like a little, you can feel like how this is an awkward conversation to have. And then Hugh Grant starts using historical facts to back up why he's asking about it.
So this was my favorite. So as somebody who's no longer religious, and I've taken religious studies in college. Like when I was in the Marine Corps, I used my GI Bill to take religious studies because I'm the kind of person that in any argument, not just religion, but any argument, I want to learn both sides because the only way to strengthen your argument against
you see both sides.
I see both sides, Kevin. But you know, on some things, Nazis are bad. I don't see both sides on that one.
No, I'm
oh
just
my God, no. But like, you know, I fully believe that in any argument I have with anybody, political, socially, religiously, whatever, you have to understand where the other person's coming from in order to truly have a point that counters theirs. Yeah. And so what I loved about this and Hugh Grant's character is this first moment where he's like, you know, and Joseph Smith was, you know, having sex with their 16-year-old maid, and the church basically, you know, said that polygamy was bad, and they tried to erase it from their history. And then Sister Barnes is like, well, we did that because we needed more people, and so more wives meant more kids, and more kids meant more people in the church, and now we don't need to do that. And it's like, that is such a sheltered Christian type answer. Oh, you know what I mean? To be like, oh, well, it was okay then because we needed people. And one
thing that I really like about this too, there's a telling moment that when I was thinking back on this film, and this is how I know it was good, is because I was thinking back on it, and there's a telling moment. He says, one of you has been lying since you walked in here. And at first I thought he was talking about Sophie Thatcher's character, Sister Barnes. And I realized as I thought back on it after you get all the way through the movie that it's Sister Paxton who's lying the entire time. And
she's the one that doesn't have as strong of a faith.
Exactly. And they give you the fucking hints the entire way. So like this conversation kind of devolves, and they're trying to figure out how to get away from this man, right? And then he's like, "Oh, well, you can come meet my wife right now. Let's go." Right? And sure enough, there they go, and they're follow like they try to
well,
get
they
out.
Can't get out.
And then
I say the doors are all locked because he's a weirdo that has everything, including his deadbolts on a timer.
yeah, and also the lights. Like there's a timer switch on the fucking light switch.
I love that sound design too, where like the lights would click on and off. That was really well
Another
done.
really big thing. In the very beginning, he just kind of has this throwaway line where he's like, "Oh, and you're okay with the metal in the walls and the ceilings, right?"
I didn't understand that.
I did. As soon as he said that,
Oh,
I
you
was like,
did?
"Oh no!"
I didn't. No. So I watched this with Nate, and we openly talk, like, because we have captions on, but we openly we'll talk about shit as we're watching it with movies like this, like horror movies especially, and. He's like, yeah, I hope you're okay with the medals in the wall. And like Nate looks at me and was like, medals in the walls. And I was like, I don't know.
It blocks your cell phone signal. Yeah, I was like, it's
and
fine.
then when they couldn't get through on the phone, I was like, oh shit. Yeah.
So he's effectively trapped these two women here now. And then as you might imagine, he reveals, as they're going through this, then they get to like essentially the next room, which is also, and I think this movie does a good job of this too. It covers the layers of the religious debate that the characters are having by saying, all right, now we've entered the next portion of this discussion. It's also a different room physically. So physically,
I was going to say, I love that.
So philosophically and physically, you go deeper into the debate, into the house. Yes. And it keeps getting deeper. So they go into the next room, and it's fucking Alice in Wonderland. Like, I love the reveal of this room, and as soon as there were two doors, I'm like, it's a choice. I know where we're going. Like,
and immediately I was like, they're both gonna lead to the same place.
Yep, I do, and
obviously.
but like, here, I also know this movie was good because I felt rewarded for knowing rather than feeling like I knew it. Like I feel like when a movie isn't written well, you're like, I know what's going to happen. And then when it happens, you're bored with it. With this movie, it happens and then you're rewarded for having known it. Like you feel like you've actually, you're like, oh, cool. I was a step ahead, but I still have no fucking idea where we're going. Like a piece of the puzzle, but not the whole thing.
Exactly. Yeah. And the room where the two doors are, this was my favorite moment in the entire movie. And it's when Hugh Grant is like, the choice is yours. And I love that his entire, like, most of his dialogue in the beginning is, you can choose to leave. Like, I'm not keeping you here. Like, you're welcome to leave.
You can leave right now.
You can leave right now. Like, that's fine. But I love that his debate for helping them choose the door, because he writes belief on one and disbelief on the other. And his whole analogy is he has the Monopoly board game. And I actually recently listened to an episode of Do Go On, which is like a historical podcast with comedians about Monopoly.
Oh, really?
So I knew about the original creator of Monopoly because I listened to that like a couple days ago, like literally fresh in my mind. So his whole thing is, you got the original, which is the original Monopoly, which was created by a woman who was, then the idea was stolen 30 years later. But, that's Judaism. And then you have the newer Monopoly that was sold by the guy who stole the idea, and that's Christianity. And then you have the newer, which is Islam. And then you have Book of Mormon, which is just an updated version of Christianity. And his entire debate, the entire time, I'm like, I know you're the bad guy, but everything you're saying, I agree with. And then I don't agree with him very much.
Well, so it all kicks off because he turns on this song. He turns on The Air I Breathe, right?
I loved that comparison too with the music.
And then he's like, well, they sued Radiohead for sampling this, and then Radiohead sued the next artist down the line for sampling their song.
Yeah.
And so it's such an interesting way that he shows. He's like, iterations matter. And you are just the newest iteration of these big three ancient religions, right? And he makes a very good point. Essentially, like you said, it's a debate, but really what he's doing, he's just presenting his argument and then allowing them to choose whether they believe or don't believe. And he even says, choose the right door, right? And it's really funny because you see Sister Paxton after everything's done. She's like, oh, no. She's really cerebral with it. She goes, choose the right door. Like, listen to him. Like, he said, this is the right one. Didn't you hear the hint? And then it turns out she's wrong anyway. But like that was
matter.
still creative. I was like, oh, points to her because she's
And
not
then-
allowing emotion to take her over in this scenario. You know?
Yeah, I think that was really well done.
It
And
also
then that
was
all
nice to
leads
show her at the disbelief door and the girl who you thought was
yeah.
the non-believer at the belief door. Really good juxtaposition.
But I also still thought like, oh, this is because she actually believes, but she just wants to get out, so she's willing to say disbelief, and the other one doesn't believe, but thinks that believing is the right answer. Like I kind of thought it was purposely reversed. But I loved that his real reveal of the 12 other ancient religions and gods that all had like similarities, and that's when Sister Barnes is like, well, let's start combating him. Like let's combat his knowledge. He doesn't need to steamroll us. Let's challenge him. And she's like, one of those gods has a fucking bird as a head. And I was like, yeah,
no, that was definitely I enjoyed this entire sequence. I love the iterations piece, and I love how it starts to show you like which character is which, and then sure enough, you know, Sister Paxton is convinced by Sister Barnes, who has the stronger form of belief and conviction, to go down into the basement on the left door. And they go all the way down, and sure enough, there's no way out. They're just in a fucking cellar, and that's when this movie just goes bonkers. Like, this is the part of the movie. So, as it would turn out, Hugh Grant has them, like, you know, kind of where he wants them. That's what, you know, like, Sister Barnes is like, he could keep us here forever, whatever. They're like, we're screwed, basically. Like, we have to do whatever's going to happen. And they go to moving this table around. They put the table back, whatever. Like, there's a lot of movement for a little bit. And then he reveals that he wants them to witness a miracle. And you're like, what the fuck? And then here comes this creepy fucking, like, malnourished
bone creaking
woman who just
weird.
looks completely bedraggled, like just horrible. And she sits down with a blueberry fucking pie. And you're just,
which, by the way, we didn't mention this, but he has a candle in the front room that has the scent of blueberry pie. And he's like, what pie do you think my wife is making? And Sister Paxton's like, oh, blueberry. And he's like, very good. And then you see Barnes later, she like slowly turns the candle around, which, by the way,
that was a really good scene.
I want to say this right here because I'll forget if I don't. The camera angles, camera movement, and camera direction with the blocking in this movie
phenomenal.
Is top fucking tier. Top fucking tier.
I agree.
So goddamn good. It's insane.
The cinematography is great. So then, of course, we've gone a layer further into the philosophy here, right? And now he's like, I'm going to show you an actual miracle and see whether you believe or not. And so at this point, I'm like, has he just been fucking with them and he's the religious zealot? Like I'm trying to start to, I'm like, now at this point in the movie, and this is probably what I enjoyed the most about it, I'm trying to figure out what's going on, you know? Once again, I'm in their shoes and I'm right with them and I'm like, what is going on? And then he's like, this is my wife and she's going to eat this blueberry pie, and she's a prophet of God, and she's going to eat this pie and die, and then she's going to come back to life. And the girl eats the fucking blueberry pie. And she does, in fact, like, fall down. And the girls say she has no pulse, but, like, they barely touch her, you know?
Oh,
he's like, you have to touch her. You have to get the pulse. And, like,
and he has no way to confirm if they did.
No. And then after they confirm that she's dead, they go to, like, check out this door that's off to the side.
Well, the doorbell rings.
Yeah, the doorbell rings.
Because their Elder Kennedy, who is Topher Grace's character, shows up. Which, this is my question to you, because you got to the point where I wanted to ask this. Throughout everything that's going on, you see Hugh Grant writing in his notebook with timestamps of what's happening. Do you think, and because this is what I think, do you think that he knew about roughly how long it would take for the Elder to come, so he timed the death with the doorbell so he would be able to swap the bodies while they were looking at the door?
No.
Or do you, like, how do you think he was planning on, because we're going to get to the switching of the bodies, but, like, how do you think he was planning on doing that, because they would need to be distracted?
Oh, I think he's actually studying them. Like, I think the timestamps are him, like, recording the events going on. And it's at this point that we've got the reveal that he has a model of his house, and he carves little models of people. He does put a guy outside of his house, which shows that he has some sort of, like, precognition that, like, someone's going to show up and maybe ring the doorbell at some point.
That's what made me wonder.
Yeah, but it's because, and it's because it's after curfew, right? And so he's like, all right, well, I'm this far away. Likely he's going to show up soon.
Kind of what I thought.
I feel like he would have waited it out until the doorbell rang and or staged that himself, because then they're up. And so this is like, I love this is how like the movie shifts. Sister Barnes has been the one of the pair that's in control the entire time, right? And then we switch to Sister Paxton being more in control, very literally, but it also kind of shows that she's starting to like she's growing in her own like fortitude and starting to make better decisions, because up to this point she's been painted as kind of a meek character, but then
she doesn't seem very like she has a backbone for a lot of
well then
this.
they go back down into the basement and she's like, that body moved, she moved,
yes,
and Hugh Grant, like he's like, nope, that's how she was, and Sister Paxton is just like, no, it moved. That's not where it was. And you're like, oh, well, because she came back to life, right? Like, as the viewer, you're like, oh, this is the miracle he wanted.
She twitched.
And this is an A24 movie, so I'm like, all right, either there's going to be some weird fucking twist about an actual true religion, or it's all like a setup for something else, right? And then we find out pretty quickly, like, things really accelerate here, and he kills Sister Barnes.
Yeah, he slices her neck.
He cuts her throat as she's challenging him, and she bleeds out. And then he cuts out her IUD or whatever it is, like her in her arm, and says,
which he had spotted earlier too.
And then he's like, see, this is a simulation, and he starts.
This is why she's not coming back to life.
He starts like espousing to and Sister Barnes before this is like, I've been wondering all night how you were going to make it seem like our idea to die was our own. And like,
because we should say the whole point of his miracle is that he is saying that when the prophet who eats the poison pie dies, she'll come back to life, which is why he's trying to get them to basically like kill themselves, because he's like, you'll come back to life.
He's like, and the prophet kind of like, she gets back up and she's like right behind is it Sophie Thatcher or is it?
It was Barnes. Yeah, it was Sophie Thatcher.
So she's right behind her, and then she starts just saying shit about like, what she sees, like a weird place.
White clouds, not heaven.
Yeah. And then she says not real at the end of it, and like they're like, whoa, wait, hold on. Like, and some shit's crazy, right? And so as the viewer, you're gassing back and forth, but then when Hugh Grant kills Sister Barnes and then starts espousing this like simulation theory, I feel like I was on the same page as Sister Paxton. I'm like, nah, you're improvising. Like, you're making this up. Like,
you were bullshit.
Yeah, this is bullshit now. Because, like, and the reason I'm thinking of it that way is, like, as a movie lover, as someone who loves good entertainment, I'm like, if that's the way this is going, I hate this movie. And I don't think A24 would do that to me.
I don't think they would be like, actually, he believes in simulation theory.
No.
Because that's fucking... Because even when that happened, I looked over at Nate and I was like, he's a Matrix believer.
He's a Matrix.
Like, I was like,
you texted me that and I'm like, no, he's not. But then, so Sister Paxton pretty quickly puts this together. She's like, that lady went off script. That wasn't the same person. And then...
You swapped the bodies.
And then he's like, well, how would I have done that? And she's like, well... And she's kind of looking around. She's like... finally like brings her eyes to the floor, which is like, duh, let's go deeper into this debate. Right?
A secret hatch.
Yep. So there's a secret hatch. She goes down and he's like, well, you're going to have to find out for yourself if you want to, like, if you want the truth, it's down there, but you have to go. She goes down. Sure enough, there's a dead body. Right. And I love this scene because she looks up at him and she goes, I knew it.
And then
he just shuts the door. Yeah. He's like, you've gone deeper. Here's some truth for you. And then this sequence is probably my favorite part because she goes through this obviously staged big three religion / Satanism thing that he set up and the whole time I'm like, oh, he's just fucking with these people psychologically with the information he's presenting, with the way he's presenting it, with like all of the symbolism he's put everywhere. Like this is all just part of like a fucked up. And then at this point, I'm like, oh, he's a fucked up serial killer, like type thing, right? And then we get to like the big reveal. There's other women who are prophets, right? Like who are going to go up and be prophets.
Where did he get all of them?
I'm assuming this is what he wants Sister Paxton to be. He wants her.
Right, that's what I
This is
figured.
okay. So the big reveal is there's this room. It's cold. It's damp. It's got these malnourished women in it who are his prophets. I think he's been doing this for a while. I think he's.
Oh, yeah.
So at this point, I'm like, oh no, he's just a serial killer. This is his thing. Like, and they get to the core of the debate. And I love this because what we've done is we've peeled back the layers. First, he's picking at, hey, here's a belief in your church that's like a little messed up, like polygamy. Here, it's a little bit messed up. Let's peel that layer back. Well, what it really comes down to is like the choices that you make. Like, what are the choices that you make based on the iterations and the facts that you have? Let's peel that back. Well, what about the things that you see? How much do you trust your eyes and your senses? Let's peel that layer back. And then it comes down to like his, and I love that, like, I love the way they played this out because instead of having him do some big monologue about it, she says to him, this is all about control. And it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that moment when he's like, have you
figured it out? And she goes, I have.
He keeps asking, the one true religion. Yeah. That's what he keeps saying. Like, I'm going to show you the one true religion. Now, my guess was death. I was like, oh, the one true religion is death because that's all he seems to care about.
Well, that's what you think in the cellar. Right?
Yeah, because I was like, oh, it's death. And then he's like, have you figured out the one true religion? And she's like, it's about control. And I was like, oh, that's so perfect.
Exactly.
That is so perfect. Like,
his
God.
entire argument is that she's been controlled her entire life by people who are making decisions for her. And then this is where I'm like, oh, he's a serial killer. This is the thing. And he's breaking them. Right. And the whole idea is he wanted her to break here. And go, you know what? You're right. I submit, whatever. Like, which is what I think like the movie's kind of positing someone of greater religiosity but weaker faith would do, right? So like someone who maybe like they have a belief system that's really just based on everything that they've heard, and then you get to this point, and not only that, had that other girl not gone off script and had things not gone awry with the other, with Sister Barnes, right? Like he would have had two girls down there and it would have been much different, right? Like I feel like, and this is the thing, he's been fighting for control that entire time. And that's also why he kills Barnes, because she's challenging him. She's challenging the control. She's challenging his one true religion. And so we get to this point where he's like, and he's in the sense of this literal physical environment, he's not wrong. That is the religion he's constructed in this house, in this place, with these people, right? But so Sister Paxton is like, well, no, fuck you. Like, fuck your religion. I'm going to resist it. Yeah. But the reason she resisted this, and this is like, they don't make it overt in the movie, but it's because she doubted to begin with. And that's where I think the movie was really smart, because like, one of you has been lying this entire time. And then as you go further, you're like, oh no, she actually had a strong sense of doubt in her. And that gave her.
You know what made me realize that first? Like the moment I noticed that she had doubt was when she was crying after those girls said, like, pantsed her and said that she wears magic underwear. Yeah. And the reason why is because I was like, that is something that I've seen in real life of, like, when I was raised in the church, like, Christian kids that were homeschooled and like their only like social interaction was like church. Yeah. Like when people would make fun of them for that. Yeah. Like, there would be cracks of, well, this is all I know, so like I don't know, but like I just don't know. Like it's just like I don't know. This upsets me, but like I don't know. Yeah. I thought that was really well done. I just good. The progression of her character is so well
it's
written.
Awesome.
So and then she stabs him.
Then we get our final confrontation. She stabs him. She gets him in the neck. What was funny was they had planned to do that earlier, and you're waiting for the magic underwear line, and then Sister Barnes gets killed abruptly, right? Because they were like, she's like, the keyword's magic underwear, right? Yeah, I think he could sense, like
he probably
there's some intuition.
I mean, he seems to have stuff all over his house.
True.
So he probably just heard them in the front room. Yep. Which would make sense, and then that's why he kills her. But then that after she stabs him, she runs away, and that was one of my favorite shot. My other favorite shot was where she's running, and you see the diorama of of the house.
Oh, and she's running up through it. Yeah, that was really good.
And then it transitions into the room that she goes into, and she can't find a way out because there is no way out of this basement, really.
So then she goes,
and then he stabs her.
Well, yeah. So then she has to go back down into the basement. Sure enough, that door's open. You know it's him. And then she turns around, and he gets her like right in the gut, right? Yeah. And then
with a what is that? An X-Acto knife.
Yeah, with an X-Acto knife, and it kind of looks like they're both gonna die. And I'm like, oh, all right. Well, this is a wild poetic ending to this. And then we get, and this is the movie makes a commentary on itself and on the genre itself. It has the miracle moment, right? Sister Barnes, who we all thought was dead, smashes Hugh Grant in the head with the board that got knocked off earlier. There's the whole Chekhov's gun, right?
Chekhov's board. So I said that, and when the board fell, I was like, hey, Chekhov's board. And then Hugh Grant is about to finish off Paxton, and I looked over at Nate, and I was like, well, so much for that board. And then like a boom. Second later, there it is in his head.
And I
was like, oh, shit.
Let me just say, this could have ended either way, and I would have enjoyed it.
Exactly.
Right? Like I was like, either one of those endings would be good, but instead we get a semi-happy ending in Sister Paxton surviving, kind of mourning Sister Barnes, and then finding
that
her
commentary
way
on
out.
prayer,
Yeah,
too.
she actually says the prayer. Like she prays because he's like, pray. Why don't you pray? Like his whole thing.
And she talks about the pray experiment too, where she's like, it doesn't work, but it's nice to feel like you're helping somebody other than yourself.
And that's her big reveal: is she actually isn't a believer? She's just a good person. You know what I mean?
Crazy.
It's so good, and it's such a good movie.
And then there's that moment. There's also, the movie ends with another really good poetic moment where towards the beginning in the house, Sister Barnes sees a butterfly.
Yep.
And then later on, a little bit later on, Paxton says that she wants to be reincarnated as a butterfly. And then when she gets outside, a butterfly lands on her.
Well,
hand.
and you don't know if it does or doesn't because she might be having a near-death moment, whatever. But but there's this funny moment because they've talked about what near death looks like. They've talked about all these things, and she goes out into the world, and it looks a little like Fantastic, right? It looks a little near deathy, in the wake of this night of snowstorm or rain that turned into a snowstorm in Utah, and then there's this butterfly that lands on her finger, like she was talking about earlier. When she passes on, she'd like to be a butterfly, so she could land on people's fingers and just say hi to them. And it lands on her fingers, and you're like, oh, Sister Barnes. And then she looks back, and it's gone. And then she's just smiling and happy in this place. And you don't know. I like that the movie at the very end still gives you, like, it's still, well, does she die, or does somebody come find her? Is she going to survive?
It's the Inception ending.
We don't know. Yeah, which is really good. And I love that the movie that's kind of about asking questions and having a heart that can question things and still be strong and be good. I love that even in the final moments rings through, because you leave kind of going, oh, is she dying or no? I don't know. And you're allowed to make a choice for yourself.
And that's how A24, I think they do that a lot in their movies, where it's like an ambiguous ending, and I personally really like that. I think they do it really well.
Really good movie. I'm glad we watched that this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's from 2024, which you might be like seeing the title of this and being like, why are they talking about Heretic? Well, because we can, and
because it's
good.
Fucking good.
We can, and it's
because it was good, and we couldn't just talk about a working man this week. I didn't want to do another list. I didn't want to I didn't want to talk about Jason Statham for a whole episode. You can do a deep dive on Jason Statham sometime if
I don't want to.
Okay, there you go.
I don't want to.
But he was an Olympic diver. It would be apt and meta for you to do a deep dive on Jason Statham, a deep diver who can deep dive in film.
See what you
Remember
did there.
when he walked on the ocean floor that would have crushed him with the pressure? Remember when he did that?
No, he swam.
Remember when he swam?
Because he put water in his sinuses,
because it
Kevin.
was
you don't
in his
understand.
sinuses, so he wouldn't get crushed by the overwhelming weight of the literal
At the bottom
ocean.
of the Marinara Trench.
Yeah, all right. What's your jam this week?
I'm gonna do something a little different.
Oh.
I have an actual jam, but also I'm going to see Death of a Unicorn, which I was really trying to see before we recorded so I could talk about it.
Okay.
It looks so good.
It does look good.
So I'm excited to see.
Who's
if it's
the
any
director
good,
of Death of a Unicorn again? It's the guy who did The Lobster, right?
I think so, because it's Paul Rudd, Jenna Ortega, Will Poulter.
Yo, big ups. Okay, I never thought I'd say this. Big ups to Paul Rudd this year. He has been doing bad movies for so long, and to see Paul Rudd in Death of a Unicorn, and then to also see him coming up in the movie Friendship, like, come on, man.
Oh yeah,
Fucking,
yeah.
like, I'm like, all right,
so
bro, you're doing something cool here.
This director has only been a producer. This is his first.
Oh,
directing.
great.
He was a producer on the Vivitch.
Oh, yes, okay.
The Robert Eggers film. So, so I'm definitely going to see that, and I'm really excited. And if it's good, I'll definitely mention it next episode.
I
probably.
also want to see it. It might end up just being my jam at a later date. I'll let you talk about it. But yeah, so Death of a Unicorn seems cool. What else? What do you got for jam this week? What are you jamming? You got some music? You got some TV? You reading something cool?
I read a book when I knew we were going to be talking about Heretic.
Read or listened to?
I read.
Okay, cool.
I own this book. It's one of the many. I own almost every book from this author. Okay. I read the book called Mortality by Christopher Hitchens.
Oh, yeah, I know Christopher Hitchens.
Christopher Hitchens is a pretty famous or infamous, depending on your view. He's a very prolific writer in the theology sense, but he's an atheist, and he's a former Christian.
He has also since passed on, R.I.P. Christopher Hitchens. He also believed that women can't be funny, which was a bad take.
Well,
but anyway,
I'm not saying all of his views were good. But I do really like a couple of his books because I like his approach to to talking about religion, to having talking points about it. And one of my favorite things that he does is he'll be like, okay, I'll give you this thing. Like, let's say this is true. This is now the case. Yeah. You know, like, I love, like, he'll be like, let's say this is true. I'll give you that. And then fight it this way. So his book Mortality is about when he was diagnosed with cancer. It's about his journey to the end of his life and reflecting on his choices about religion, about the afterlife, about death. It's a very short book. It's a very quick read. And it's one of those that I think whether you're religious or not, I think it does a really good job of painting a perspective about approaching death and what that can mean.
Here's an interesting thing to share with you. So we're talking about the Heretic this week. You're someone who, as you said, you're atheist, right? Okay. Yeah. I would be defined as a Christian. Both in life practice and in the fact that I'm going to be doing actual mission work alongside Christians of varying levels of faith next week in the Dominican Republic. In Colinas Dos, we go every year. This is my 4th year going. At this point, if someone were to call me a missionary, I would say, you're technically not wrong. But I am someone who I would define, if you said, hey, how would you define yourself? I would say Christian. But I have read The God Delusion by Richard Dawkins. I have read God's Not Real by Christopher Hitchens. God's Not Great by Christopher Hitchens.
I have that book. That's my other book from him that I like.
I also have read, I'm a very well-read, I've read almost everything by Nietzsche. I'm a huge fan of Camus. I love Jean-Paul Sartre. I love, Dostoevsky. So many great writers that would not be classified necessarily as Christian writers. Actually, I would venture to say that I come across more Christians who probably would dislike that information if I shared it with them than I do Christians who would be curious, right? This movie, The Heretic, I thought was very good because it presents the fact. Sister Barnes brings up, not to delve back too much into this, there's a whole, when they're talking about choice, she says you've made it black and white, but there's a whole spectrum of choices to be made here. Like it's not one or the other. And you can balance these things out. She's challenging the idea that picking faith or picking belief or picking disbelief is a thing that you commit to wholeheartedly forever. And it's not. And I thought that was really good, and I really like Christopher Hitchens' approach, even though he was more of an antagonist with his thought. And the older I get and the more mature I get with the way that I think about things, the more I view him as he is a very good counterpoint to any sort of theological position you might take, because it's good to read and process that and interpret it. But I love that you've brought that as your jam, like, right, but I'm about to go, just be submersed in, I'm going to be at a church next Sunday.
I thought
in
this
the
was like a
Dominican
really
Republic.
cool full circle, everything, the movie, the book, your trip.
It's wild,
like,
man.
Yeah, it felt great.
And I'll be coming back from that, from an experience with fellow Christians. And it's really interesting to call myself a Christian because I go on these trips and I do things, and I do think that I live life in a very Christ-like way. I'm trying to do my best. I'm doing my best by people. I'm turning the other cheek. But I have some I would say that I'm a very dangerous American Christian thinker in that, like, most American Christians, once we continue talking, I'm like, God loves everybody, right? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, even our all of our children, all of our brethren. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, trans people and anybody transitioning, and they're like, no. And I'm like, okay, we are going to start disagreeing now. Like,
this is the point.
And it's because for me, there really is a spectrum of choices. And I won't get too deep on that. Maybe we could have a whole episode on it someday. I feel like I would want to, if we were ever going to really get into like spirituality, philosophy, and the human experience, I would really want to craft out what thoughts I'm bringing and say this is not the extent of it. However,
Yeah.
But yeah, so my jam this week, going along with the theme of belief, disbelief, Christianity, whatever. Yeah. So on the opposite end of Christopher Hitchens, Under Oath released a
You read the
new
Bible.
album
I'm just kidding.
this week. No, Under Oath, famous Christian post-hardcore
I know
band.
Under Oath.
Huh?
Yep.
Yeah, Under Oath is phenomenal.
I know of them, I should say.
They just released their new album. The Place After This One is the name of the album. This is so perfect. We're just this is the what the fuck do we call this? This is the blueberry pie religion episode of UnPop. This is, but yeah, no. So that album's phenomenal. I listened to it twice yesterday. I listened to it both while I was doing some extra studying and review for my test on Monday, and then also when I was going for a run. And it is phenomenal. If you like post-hardcore, if you like metalcore, if you like metal music this year is fucking peak, man. It's so good. Like,
So
Bad
good.
Omens is putting out new stuff. Sleep Token's putting out new stuff. We've got Whitechapel, Under Oath, Spirit Box, like just 1056, like everything.
Who did that Earwig song?
Volumes just 1056 did Earwig. Volumes
That's
just released a new song called Sidewinder. Architects released one of the better metal albums. Sleep Token,
that album is good.
Sleep Token sold out their entire arena tour in the US already. Like, metal this year is fucking peak. It's so good.
Metal this year, Kevin?
Yeah. Is the jam. Yeah, it's metal as fuck.
It's metal.
So I've got that, and then also I shared this with you, and I really want to share this with anybody who loves good writing and hasn't already read these books and isn't like, Kevin, you're a fucking idiot for not reading these for so long. I just started reading/listening to The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. Quick little tidbit, and maybe I'll do it bigger on a deep dive. I have only read/listened to one other story by Brandon Sanderson. It's a novelette that takes place in the world of Magic the Gathering, called Children of the Nameless, and it is one of the better short stories I've ever read in my entire life. It's fucking phenomenal. He's so good. He's such a good writer. He wrote this character, Davriel Kane, who is like all the townspeople are like, he's this horrible monster and a vampire and whatever, and he's got demons and all these things up at his castle. He does, but he the whole reason he is on this entire plane of existence in the Magic the Gathering universe is they have good tea. And like, it's just fucking, and from there, like, it's so funny because the story is so rooted in this, like, this supernatural presence, and like there's this ambience of like an evil nature throughout the entire story, and then you get to his place and it just goes fucking Sesame Street. Like, it's just like it's an episode of the Muppets. Like, it's so good, and like the story takes on a lightheartedness, but then it weaves some of the horror elements back into it and then keeps the lightheartedness, and then you still get a really fulfilling climax to the story, and the falling action even is like, it's just wonderfully done. He's such a good writer, and I don't know why I didn't just catapult off of that and start reading his books sooner, because The Way of Kings, by the end of the prologue, I was already like in. I was already like, this is some of the better writing I've ever experienced. He's describing... In the prologue, he describes a character who is assassinating another figure. And the character does this thing called lashing, where he can change essentially how the physics of the universe work. And when you hear something like that, you're like, how do you describe that? How do you write that? I don't know. Like, if you asked me to do it, I couldn't. But Brandon Sanderson fucking did. Because he's talking... you have to read it. He's talking about how up becomes left, and like the way he does it, I'm like, I know what's going on, even though it's one of the most complex things that I can imagine right now. It's so good, and like the way that he does it in a way where you don't lose it, you're not confused, and like I was like, this is a triumph in itself. I can't wait to see where this is going. By the end of by the beginning of, I think it's chapter 3, I was like, oh, this is the best. Like it's peak level writing. I can't. It's too good. It's my jam. It's probably going to be my jam. Like, as I go through his books now, they will probably come up periodically on UnPop as a jam. Maybe after I get through a series of them, I'll dig into one of the series. He's also, and this is like where I'll leave it off. He has also created a universe. It's called The Cosmere, and I did not know this, but there's like 16 books in it. And it's not that characters are making cameos. It's that they have significant place in each of these books, which reminds me very much of Terry Pratchett, who wrote the Discworld series, right? And there were characters who would come back, like Death, or my favorite character, Death of Rats, who is quite literally a rat Grim Reaper. Like one of the, just like the cutest little tiny rat Grim Reaper that you could ever imagine. I love it. Death of Rats is amazing. But yeah, so like it reminds me very much of his universe. It reminds me very much of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Just really cool things in it. And to round out the podcast and to stop myself from talking about this, Terry Pratchett and what is the other guy's name? Who?
Sex criminal Neil Gaiman.
No, not sex. No, Terry Pratchett. No, Neil Gaiman didn't touch any of this. Don't do this.
Well, didn't they do stuff together?
Yes,
though?
but no. Terry. Terry Pratchett, not sex criminal. And then
yes.
I can't remember the guy who wrote Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but I should know his name. Anyway, they very famously atheist. And then also Brandon Sanderson, and this was really funny. Somebody was like, oh, well, wait till you check out his politics. Turns out Brandon Sanderson in the past like 5 years, maybe like 5 to 10 years, has done a complete 180 on LGBTQ and trans rights, because he grew up Mormon, and there's a post on his own website that says, thank you to so many wonderful people in those communities. I am unequivocally for trans rights, LGBTQ rights. Like, what a nice wholesome ending to this podcast right now.
Yeah.
A Mormon man, much like Sister Paxton, has come full circle. And no, but like a friend was like, check it out. And I was like, all I can find is conservatives blaming him for going woke because he just like likes more people, like
because he just supports.
Because that's what happens, Odie. If you support everybody, is you're too woke for the world. So
yeah, imagine.
Why don't we go out into the world with our woke atheist and Christian friendship and just confuse the fuck out of people? Why don't we continue doing that? Because that's our brand. We're absurd, baby. How dare we ever presume that in a world such as this we could go out? Do you have any parting thoughts? Do you have anything you want to leave our viewers with?
If you were going to have a pie, I would say that the best pie you can get is sugar cream pie. It's a Midwesterner thing.
What the fuck is sugar cream pie?
Yeah,
this sounds
nobody
horrible.
knows what this pie is. No, it's really
What
good.
is it
it's
made
my favorite
of?
pie. It's made of joy and wonderful love.
That's not
And,
ingredients.
I think that's probably the best pie, followed second by blueberry and followed third by pumpkin.
What is the flavor of
and
sugar cream pie?
In last place would be apple
Why
pie.
are you not answering my question?
Well, sugar cream pie is a no-bake pie. It's really good. I grew up with it. It's solid. I'll make it for you.
Okay.
It's got like condensed milk and like brown sugar, and it's in a pie crust.
You broke my brain. You broke it.
Okay.
All right, thank you for listening to another episode of the UnPop podcast. Thank you to everybody who has joined recently. I noticed that our listenership has gone up. Not only has ours gone up, but so has Magnum Nopus. We appreciate all of your love and attention that you're giving to our absurd asses. Thank you for weathering another week in this crazy existence with us. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about our mental health, or want us to podcast live at your funeral, it's mysecretpoweris@gmail.com. Please make sure to email in and tell Odie this is the best their audio has ever sounded, because we fixed the fucking problem. Art by FrankAce, music and effects by moi. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.